I was a big fan of the Redmi 12. In fact, last year I said it was the best phone to buy in its price range. This is the Redmi 13, its successor, and I would say things are different. The one thing I wanted to be different was its design. I was hoping that phone brands were done with the whole iPhone look, but I guess I was wrong. The Redmi 13 still kind of looks like an iPhone, so it still kind of looks like the Redmi 12. But this time around, instead of having 3 cameras, we get 2 and a flash. We'll talk more about the cameras in a bit. But going back to the design, although I don't quite like the iPhone look, I do like the color. This is the gold color, and I believe it's the nicest looking one. Another thing that didn't change is the glossy glass finish on the rear. I have a love-hate relationship with it. And also its IP53 rating. So yes, the Redmi 13 is dust and splash resistant. Also, as expected, the fingerprint sensor is on the power button. There's also a tray on the left for your SIM card and SD card. It's a hybrid tray, so you have to choose between either having 1 SIM and an SD card, or 2 SIMs and no SD card. So for those with 2 SIM cards, you might want to go with the higher storage variant. There's 1 speaker on here, it's alright. There's also a headphone jack right at the top, and then next to it, the IR blaster. For those who don't know, thanks to the IR blaster, your phone can basically turn into a universal remote and control some of your electronic appliances, like your TV. So yeah, apart from the slightly different camera area and maybe colors, the Redmi 13 looks and feels just like the Redmi 12. Even with size, it's the same. It's still a big phone. The screen is almost 7 inches. I miss small phones. The similarities continue though. Same screen size, same display type, same resolution, same refresh rate, same screen to body ratio, and even same brightness. So you can basically expect about the same experience when watching videos here. The only thing I'll add is that YouTube videos seem to look a tad bit over sharpened. It's fine, you know, but it's just something I noticed. It has a 90Hz refresh rate, but in the settings app, it's set to auto switch by default. So you might want to go change that. And I would say, yeah, for the most part, the screen is smooth, or as smooth as 90Hz can be. But occasionally, in some apps, it's not as smooth. Last year, the Helio G88 processor was super popular. A lot of budget smartphones use that processor, including the Redmi 12. But the thing is, the Redmi 12 was the cheapest of the bunch. It was the cheapest phone with that processor, and because of that, and of course other features I had, for me it was easily the best phone to buy for its price range. So is Redmi retaining that crown with the Redmi 13? Oh no. The 13 uses the Helio G91 Ultra processor, which when compared to the G88 of the Redmi 12, looks good. It has slightly better CPU scores, but when you start to compare it to the competition, then it doesn't look good. I just reviewed the Tecno Povo 6 Neo and the Ito RS4, and both of those devices, which are around the same price as the Redmi 13, come with the Helio G99 processor. When I compared the RS4 with the Redmi 13, these were the results I got from Geekbench. Clearly, the RS4 takes the win here. I also noticed that apps didn't open as quickly on the Redmi 13. The phone just felt slow. Also, and I wish I recorded this, but when I first unboxed and started using this phone, for the first couple days, it was a mess. Navigating the phone, scrolling around the UI, just doing normal stuff, it was really slow. But I think I received a software update not too long after, which improved things. It wasn't perfect, but it was a bit better. And the thing is, budget phones typically have little bit of hiccups here and there, probably because they don't use like super powerful processors. But I just reviewed the RS4 and the Povo 6 Neo, and those phones felt faster. So I think Redmi going with the Helio G91 could be a reason why, but also maybe it could be software related. I mean, Redmi phones have been known very well for having bugs, a lot of them. And even with their switch to HyperOS, the bugs didn't go away. At least that's what people are saying. So yes, this is running the new HyperOS on top of Android 14, and low-key, I think maybe that contributed to it. The The phone does come with a ton of pre-installed apps, so I would suggest the first thing you do is to delete all of them and, free up the phone a little bit. And then maybe just getting the variant with the most RAM and most storage. Speaking of RAM, one commendable thing they did do was move the base storage from 4 gigs to 6 gigs. Now, although that's commendable, it's still behind the competition because a lot of other phones for this price range start at 8 gigs. So maybe 8 gigs next time? Where it has an edge over the competition could be with cameras. A lot of other phones around this price point have 50 megapixel cameras, but this has a 108 megapixel main sensor. That second camera is unfortunately not an ultra-wide camera, but a 2 megapixel macro camera. So yes, the ultra-wide camera is gone. And then lastly, there's a 13 megapixel selfie camera. I've been playing around with the camera, taking different types of shots, and yeah, I think these are really good cameras. If you can stay stable, because we don't get OIS. So while taking photos, you would have to be pretty stable or you end up with blurry photos. So yeah, just try to be still and you can get pretty good looking images from this camera. And remember, the more light you have, the better the results would be. This is especially true for the selfie camera. Overall, I would give the camera's photo quality a solid B+. Now, when using the cameras, there are 2 things to note. One, if you want extremely detailed photos, you would have to switch to the 108 megapixel mode. And then 2, when using the selfie for the first time, there's a beauty filter turned on by default. If you don't turn it off, your photos would look soft. Videos, on the other hand, is not as impressive. Like I said earlier, it doesn't have OIS, so if you plan on shooting videos handheld, your footage would look shaky. I also think it has this over-sharpened look to it, which again, not very nice. I'll rate its video quality a D or C- if you use a tripod. To wrap things up, let's talk battery life and charging. This one's pretty straightforward. The Redmi 13 has a 5030 mAh battery. If you don't use your phone a lot, you could go a whole day without needing to charge. If you use your phone a lot, you're going to need to carry around a charger or a power bank. With heavy use, you're looking at 5 to 6 hours of screen on time, but with light use, you can see up to 8 hours. So about the same battery life as the Redmi 12. Where there's an upgrade though is with charging. The Redmi 12 supported 18 watts of wired charging, but the Redmi 13 supports 33 watts of wired charging. And they do give you the charging adapter in the box, which is appreciated. So yeah, we get faster charging, a better main camera, and slightly better processor than the Redmi 12. The Redmi 13 starts at 200,000 naira and goes up to 230,000 naira. Now, when you compare it to the Redmi 12, it looks good, right? It looks like an upgrade. But when you compare it to the competition, it doesn't look that good. Mainly because of its not so good performance. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the Redmi 13. Not looking good. Well, do let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you when you see me.